This is A's Cast Live, your comprehensive look at the Athletics.
Leaping the ball, it's gone. A towering drive into center field by Rooker.
And 29 other MLB clubs.
A judgy blast. All rise. Here comes the judge. Swung on, hit high, hit deep to right, away back into the second deck.
Bobby Witt Jr. becomes the first shortstop in Major League history to have two 30-30 seasons.
Shohei Ohtani starts the 50-50 club.
Join us as we take you inside the baseball universe, from humidors to walk-off dingers to Hall of Fame talk. We have you covered. Spend your afternoon with us, only on A's Cast Live. Here's Chris Townsend.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of A's Cast Live. It's a Wednesday. We're here at the ballpark in West Sacramento. And if you're watching us on YouTube or on X, thank you for the viewership. And if you're listening on A's Cast or 650 KSTE or 95.5 KWNR FM, The Bull in HD2 down in Las Vegas. Can't wait to be in Las Vegas. We'll be in Vegas on Monday for the groundbreaking. Going to be a lot of fun. But until then, we got a lot of baseball to talk about. A big game for the A's today, because you win today, you at least have the series against the Astros, and then you have the opportunity to take 3 out of 4. You're not happy about last night. Last night was kind of a disaster game where they lost 13-3. The night before was phenomenal with the Nick Kurtz walk-off. We're going to get Nick Kurtz. Is it tomorrow maybe or Friday? Or
TBD. We're efforting.
Because we're going to have Mason Miller also.
Yeah, because the bobblehead on Sunday.
And then today's going to be who?
Max Muncy.
So we're going to have Max Muncy, our old buddy Steve Sparks, former River Cat.
Old man River Cat.
Is going to be here. He does play-by-play for the Houston Astros. And then Dallas Braden, as we look over, they will be doing tonight's broadcast from the berm below the scoreboard and right center. So Dallas Braden will be by to promote the berm game, as we are calling it, later tonight on NBC Sports California. We got to get into Luis Severino on the mound. Got to get better here. We know the mound is different because the River Cats were off. They got to do some changes to the field. We talked to Scott Emerson a little bit about it yesterday. And so new mound. So if there was this, the mound's a little hard, the dirt is a little hard. Well, new mound. And the mound, everybody says they like the dirt. It's a little bit softer. So here you go, Luis Severino, because you got to figure it out at home. A's still very reliant on home runs to score runs. Problem is, here at the ballpark in West Sacramento, they're getting drilled in home runs. They have been out-homered 66-39 at this ballpark. That is the worst home run differential at home in the majors at -27. We will get into that. But how I want to start today's show is kind of, if you were listening, and I know probably a lot of you weren't, it's just the way your listening and viewing habits are different. And by the time you listen to the post-game show, A's Talk, probably a lot of you are asleep unless you download it and listen to it the next day. But we had a conversation about how the Astros, let's take away our hatred for them for a second. I can do that for a second. And then I'll go right back to hating these SOBs because they're a bunch of horror. The Astros are owned and run. It's just awful.
Makes me want to puke.
It does make me want to puke. Thank you, Coach Gundy. But we take away that for a minute. If we just talk baseball, a lot of people have talked about the model being the Los Angeles Dodgers. And that is just flat out ridiculous because nobody has the television money that the Los Angeles Dodgers have. Years ago, the Los Angeles Dodgers signed a deal with Time Warner. It was ridiculous at the time. If you remember back, most people in Los Angeles didn't have Time Warner, and the deal was just gross. Great for the Dodgers, bad for the people of Los Angeles. It's been worked out. I stopped following it. I don't know how it got worked out, but it got worked out. But in the end, no one gets more local television money than the Los Angeles Dodgers. Because of our affiliation with NBC, we've talked a lot about the Philadelphia Phillies. where they get $250 million every single year from NBC. Same as the Athletics get their money from NBC, the Giants, same deal. But for the Phillies, at their big market team, they get $250 million. Well, if you look at their payroll, they don't spend $250 million. So when people sit there and go, oh, man, the Phillies, man, they're going for it. They're spending it. Not really. They're just spending their TV money. So every ticket that's sold, every parking spot, every beer, every hot dog, every hat, all the merch, all that goes right into the owner's pocket. So these owners who have these TV deals, there's like 5 or 6 of them left, and they look like, oh, look at these, they're spending money, they're trying to win. No, they're just spending their TV money. We have a bunch of teams that don't even have TV money. So to say the Dodgers are the model is ridiculous. The Dodgers
That's not true.
The Dodgers, it is true. They have so much money, the Dodgers. So it's like no one else is going to have that. So that's not what you would call a model. They're a one-off.
Well, you want to know how much money the Dodgers have? They just bought the Lakers. The guy that owns the Dodgers just bought the Lakers.
Yeah, he was. Well, he was already an owner of the Lakers.
Now he just owns majority of it.
He's going to buy the majority of it from the
Jeannie
Buss
Buss,
family. Yeah. So get out of that. Are the Astros the model? And it pains me to say it, but we talked about it last night, and I wanted to bring it up again because it really is. And you found it for me today. I'll never forget watching this. It was what year they win the World Series?
22.
So it's 2022. They're at home, and they've just won the World Series, and the confetti's flying down from the ceiling. And was it Hannah Kaiser?
Hannah Kaiser, yeah.
Hannah Kaiser?
Kaiser, yeah.
Hannah Kaiser's interviewing Jim Crane, the owner, because they had free agents they had to deal with. And this is one of the most ruthless comments you'll ever see. Because after a championship, usually it's like, oh, my God, we want to keep the team together. We want to win multiple championships. We love all these guys. We're going to have a parade. Jim Crane, as literally as it's falling down on him. Are we having Muncy right now? You coming on, but Muncy's here right now.
Yeah, we'll have to save the Jim Crane comment.
No, it's the best.
I have the whole,
as confetti is flying on Jim Crane's head, he flat out says, "Oh yeah, we've got a 5-year plan to replace everybody." It was, and they've been true. Max, come on over. Max Muncy's joining us here on A's Cast as we're getting you ready for Game 3 between the Athletics and the Houston Astros. It's great to have you on the program once again. How are you?
Doing fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing well, and I'm really happy for you.
Thank you.
You made the club out of spring training, which was awesome. Things didn't go the way you wanted. You went back down to Las Vegas. You figured it out. You got brought back up. We had you here after a game, and we talked about how keep it simple, slow the game up a little bit, and you've been doing that. Let's kind of get back into that of what it's been like since you've come back from Las Vegas.
I think it's just been keeping the same mentality that I talked to you guys about, was just, when things speed up and, you're playing a good team or facing a good arm, just go back to basics, slow down, don't overthink it.
How much did you think about that, of slowing things down when you left here and you went back to AAA?
Yeah, I didn't think about it much. It was more like a realization playing there. Because when I went back, obviously I played better there than I did last year. And I just was wondering, why am I hitting so well here? Why am I, driving the ball? And I realized it was because I had seen the higher level. When I went back, I kind of slowed it down and was just, I know how to play at this level. I've been here before. So I think once I realized that, like, I'm slowing it down here. When I go back, that's just what I need to do there, is the same thing.
You had an aha moment.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Like the light clicked. I like that. So you figured out, you're like, I can do this.
Yeah. And it's, the pitching in AAA is good. I know a lot of guys say it's definitely different up here, but, if you're working on stuff and the mindset's working there, it can translate here. And I remember just thinking about that, like, I'm on the slider down there, I'm on the heater, I'm hitting pitches in, out, why is that? And it was just because I was almost a little bit looser and just playing my game.
Well, don't worry. We've debunked that here on this show. All this talk about, well, you're getting to the big leagues. It's the big leagues. Do you know how many guys that will pitch in the big leagues this year, pitched in AAA also this year? A lot of players you're going to see on the field tonight have had time in AAA this year who will pitch. So you're seeing guys that are going to be in the big leagues or just in the big leagues down there. But the thing that I always like to tell people is that, we think of everything so physical. That's you're showing right there and telling us that's a mental thing. You figured out mentally about the whole process of slowing it down and, oh yeah, I can go back up and do it.
Yeah, I think for sure, especially when I was watching video of my swing and, it's just like not that much was different. It wasn't like I made some crazy adjustments. I mean, I made some adjustments for sure, but it wasn't like you could tell a huge difference in my swing. It was really more, mental and, going in with a better plan and a better mindset about what I'm trying to do that day.
I asked Scott Emerson this yesterday on the show because there is so much data and there is so much information for you guys to look at. Is it hard from a coaching standpoint to tell guys, stop, just keep it simple, get it out of your head and just go play free? So as a player, how tough is that when you have all this stuff being shown to you and everybody's trying to get, and it's what they think's best for you, obviously. Yeah. But at some point I just got to get up there, see ball, hit ball. Is it hard to just try and keep it simple?
I think with that, you gotta experiment. That's my biggest thing is you got to try to look at certain things and see if it works for you. And if it doesn't, you got to avoid looking at it. There's some guys I know down in AAA that I would talk to that didn't want to know the percentages of what percentage the guy threw the pitch. They just wanted to know what he had.
Yeah.
Just so they don't get too locked in on one pitch, of a higher percentage. And I kind of thought about that. I was like, you know what? I got to start trying new things to figure out what piece of information that I need to get before I go up there.
Now, we like to talk about versatility, how that is key, that you can play a lot of different spots and a lot of guys can, but there is also something about being comfortable, and it looks like they've made the commitment to you now to be the starting third baseman, which is awesome for you in your career. Obviously, when you were up here earlier, you're playing second base. What does it mean to you now to know, like tonight, you're going to be playing third base? What is it like knowing that when you show up here, that it's not going to be outfield or it's going to be second base? You're playing third base. How does that help you?
It's definitely been nice, especially with the practice thing is the most important, knowing I can take majority of my reps at third. Sometimes when you start splitting it up and, changing the arm angle all around, it kind of gets you out of whack.
Yeah.
But, coming from high school and stuff, I always kind of thought it'd be short of third. So I do feel comfortable over there. Second's kind of a wild card sometimes, but
that's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair. Because that side of the diamond, right? He was a first round pick. He was a shortstop. I mean, you're comfortable there. Third is just a little different. Ball gets on you a little bit quicker. You got to get rid of the ball faster. So, I mean, talk about the difference between the two and why you're so comfortable on that side of the diamond versus the other side.
Yeah, obviously I have a lot of minor league games at short. And so reading the swing from that side of the field is definitely a strong suit of mine. So going to third and, just being a little bit further over definitely made it easier than second for me, just because I've spent so much time over there. And, when you're short, you gotta let it fly. Second's more of finesse, get it over there.
Yeah.
So when I have that kind of same throwing motion at third as I do at short, it's kind of an easier transition. The footwork's the same. I'm letting it go. My body's kind of going the same way. At second, you're kind of turned a little differently.
No doubt. And a lot of times you start getting 3/4 or down a little bit. One thing that I've noticed to you at third, and one of the things, it kind of like a quarterback where you got to turn and throw across your body. You have to do that a lot, especially when you're going to your left as a third baseman. That's a throw you've done really well. You did it last night. Just talk about being comfortable making that throw, because when guys make that transition, that's a hard throw for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's definitely been one of my natural strong suits is going to that left and kind of just torquing and throwing. I think I've messed with that a lot growing up and stuff. And, that's a similar play at short, going over the bag and, having to twist almost more to get it back to first. Yeah. So I think going to third and having that play, sometimes I get it a little closer at third because I'm up. So I just try to finesse it, get a little touch to it, know it's going to sink back a little bit, get it to first.
And there is something about playing up in the big leagues.
Yeah.
Guys do hit it really hard.
Oh, yeah.
And you're a lot closer.
Oh, yeah. I had a couple of balls versus the Twins, I think, that I was up for the bunt. They're just ripping them over there.
Talk about offensively how things have been different, especially from the power standpoint.
Yeah. I think the power standpoint comes more from the adjustments physically that I made. Just kind of putting myself in a better angle to go up and get balls and drive them at the better launch angle.
Going to get balls higher in the strike zone.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was a struggle for you the first time around?
Yeah, I think it's just certain things with my balance and weight wasn't allowing me to, catch those balls in the right path. It was more of I was hitting them hard. I had a couple balls off the wall, I think, when I first got here, just because I was a little more across it.
Now, when get back to defense, something that's always so key is the relationship with the shortstop and vibing together.
Yeah.
How is that relationship with Jacob Wilson?
I mean, obviously we played together since high school, so
Yeah.
it's nice to have someone over there that I know, and I kind of know, what balls he can go get and what plays he's really good at, and I'll leave some, maybe some of those backhands that he's really good at. I know he can make those plays on the run. So it's nice to have someone that even if I'm not looking at him and I'm going to get a ball, I kind of know where he is because I've seen him do it so many times.
Now there's the young crew that is here. When you talk about Jacob Wilson, you talk about Lawrence Butler, you talk about Nick Kurtz and Tyler Soderstrom and yourself, a bunch of former first-round picks. Butler wasn't, but I think you guys include him into the crew. What is it like, this young group where you guys are all looking around at each other and you guys truly are the future of this organization?
Yeah, I think you definitely just hope that we all keep progressing together and you root for us just like we do the rest of the team. I mean, we have a lot of guys in the young crew that maybe aren't as young. We add them in. TJ McFarland's in the young crew. He's young at heart. So
you let that 35-year-old into your guys' crew?
He fits right in.
Because I've heard the crew, you got to be – Lawrence Butler explained it like you got to be like 25 or 26 and younger.
Yeah, I mean, that's the crew on paper. But if anyone wants to join young crew, they're welcome.
Yeah, because, I mean, I look at the hairline and TJ McFarland at 35. He's not part of the young crew, but you let him in.
Yeah, at heart, he's young crew.
How many of these older guys are trying to get into the young crew?
So some of them stay away from the young crew, but they're welcome for sure.
All right. Because you guys, I mean, it is, I mean, it's got to be fun. I mean, young guys growing up together in the big leagues, what's that like?
It's cool. I think it's just, it's definitely something that you want to see continue to be built. And, I think it's definitely, you're just rooting for each other because you know that you have a chance to play together for a long time. And there's obviously a lot of other guys on this team we haven't mentioned, Langeliers and Geloff coming back soon. Like, those are all guys who want to be a part of this core group.
Well, yeah, you think about when the Athletics came west years ago from Kansas City to Oakland, then won 3 straight World Series. They were all young together. They all grew up together. They ended up all getting married and having kids.
Yep.
That's kind of what you guys like on the way to Vegas. We can see that this young group is growing. Talk about the confidence in the clubhouse, because another loss, I mean, they're starting to mount. I mean, you're looking at 30 and 45. You're 15 games under 500. But every single time I talk to somebody up here, they go, no, we're still in this. We still feel it. So what is it like in the clubhouse?
I mean, it's just take it day by day. I don't like to look at the record or look at what happened. When we show up that day, we're here to win. I think that's just what we're kind of thinking. Every day is an opportunity to win. Every day you get to play a game and have a chance to do something to help the team. Yeah,
just let us know. There's not guys hanging their heads there. There's still belief.
Yeah, it's really win as many games as you can, no matter what. So, if you go on that, we had that losing streak and whatever, but, you got to put that behind you and just the next day you can start a win streak.
And then, down in Las Vegas, guys that you've played with, there's still talent down there that's coming.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about some of the guys that you think that could probably help with the ball club this year, who you've played with not only last year, but this year.
Yeah, I mean, Colby Thomas and Susak are some of the big names that stand out if you look at their numbers. I mean, Colby's done it for 2 years now, right around 300. He's got 15, 16 homers. He hit 30 last year.
Yeah.
That's a big-time bat, and he was one of the best defensive outfiters in minor league baseball last year. And
he can play all three.
He can play anywhere. And I think he's kind of overlooked in the prospect or top 100. But, out of guys that I've played against or guys that I've seen, he's a top 10 minor league player for sure.
And then Susak is just a monster catcher.
When you get a big guy like that behind the dish that can also, hit for average, I think that's a special player. He has the power, but he can spread around the field. He'll shoot a hole. He'll get a knock when he needs it. He's a good player. He's intelligent. I think those guys are, going to be big pieces. And, I hope they're up here soon because I know they can help this ball club.
Well, I like to call it Towny's crystal ball, where I look into the future. I told you down in Arizona you were going to be here and you were going to play a major part in this 2025 season. And here we are.
Yep.
And here you are.
Yep. I hope it just keeps going upward and get some more wins. And if I had to have my own crystal ball, I'd say that, Colby and Susak and even Jack Perkins will play a similar role that I have when they get up here this year, next year, whenever that is.
We're happy for you.
Thank you.
Keep doing it. That's your starting third baseman for the Athletics, Max Muncy, right here on A's Cast Live. You're good, my man. Thank you so much for stopping
Thank
by.
you. Thanks for having me, guys.
Gotta love it. So he's getting the opportunity to play every single day now, as we heard from Mark Kotze that he was going to be Gio Urshela would come in and when Muncy needs a day off, but clearly they are going the young route, and they should. Max Muncy should get the opportunity. So speaking of what we were talking about before we went to that interview, it's a great example. When the Astros owner was asked at the World Series, like I said, confetti was coming down on top of his head, and he was asked, what are you going to do? He's like, we got a 5-year plan to replace anybody.
That's
Ruthless. But you know what? Awesome. And you know what? You think of the players they have let go. You start talking about Garrett Cole. You start talking about Correa. You start talking about Springer. You start talking about Bregman. Tucker now. I guess would we throw
you throw old man Verlander in there. They let him walk away. Never signed with the Mets. Then he brought him back.
I don't really
those are
those
are the core guys. Yes.
Yeah, the core guys.
The only guys they've re-signed were Altuve and Jordan.
So basically, the Astros, what they do is they put a price on you. They say we're willing to go to X. Let's just call it $10. We're willing to spend $10.
Good number.
And if your agent comes to us and your agent wants 12 to 15, we say thanks for the memories, and they move on.
Yeah,
and they replace you. For example, the guy playing shortstop, Carlos Correa, wanted huge money. We all know now he was never going to be worth the money, the 13-year deal that he wanted in San Francisco, and then because of the medicals, and then with the New York, he signed those deals. It didn't work because of the medicals, ends up with the Minnesota Twins. And then after he signed whatever that deal was with a bunch of, I can't remember how long the deal was. It was like
the original one
or whatever. But Correa was like, yeah, you know what? I never thought I really want to play for 13 anyway. I was like, oh my God, dodging the bullet. I've always said the Giants dodged a huge bullet there. But as everybody was like, you can't get rid of Carlos Correa. Well, they had Pena, who ended up being the World Series MVP at shortstop. So there's always somebody that they feel they can replace you with. Tony Kemp was talking about that last night coming up in the Astros organization, that they train their guys that whether you're an A-ball, AA, AAA, it's always with the mentality of you're going to the big leagues, you're going to help us in the big league. So the Astros going forward is, I think, what the A's really need to think about, especially once we hit Las Vegas, is no, you don't want to be like the Padres and you want to spend as much money as you possibly can to try and chase down the Dodgers. Then all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, we got problems.
Yeah.
Right. The key is to do it the right way. And the way is you're going to have to get your own, you're going to have to draft and have your own players. You're going to have enough money to go get free agent players like the Astros have. You're just not going to break the bank in on anybody because it's dumb.
So some of the only free agent deal they made that didn't work out in their favor was Jose Abreu. That was a bad deal. But other guys,
how much was that?
Like $58 million. They don't spend a lot of money in free agency. Like
they don't.
They signed Hader. That's been good so far. They brought in Michael Brantley, and Brantley was a great signing.
Deal.
And then obviously Christian Walker's in year one of the deal, and he didn't get that much money. Like they don't break the bank for guys, and they don't. And the only big money they spent was re-signing Jordan and Altuve.
They operate as a mid-market team, and they do it brilliantly. And all they do is keep winning and going to ALCSs and going to World Series. The way they operate is they don't get sucked into what's the fan base saying on Twitter? What's the fan base saying on X? What are they saying on Facebook? They don't care. We're going to build this team, and we're going to win, and we're going to win, and you're going to show up. That's all that matters. They're not worried. Jim Crane has openly said it. We're not going to make moves based on what the fan base wants. And I go, bravo, because it's tough to do because of all the noise out there. But I think of our fan base, any player they fell in love with, they wanted to sign long-term. Was that a great idea? Probably not. A lot of the guys that have left. So you got it. So, I mean, you need to do it. We'll talk to Steve Sparks about it. I mean, it is really smart that they are not going to overpay players. Well, if you want way more than we're willing to offer, thank you. We will replace you.
I'll never forget when Sparksy told us years ago that the MVP of the team was Martin Maldonado for what he did with the pitching staff. It doesn't guy that hit 250, but 200. But what he did with the pitching staff and as a leader, those are the guys they brought in that they weren't spending a lot of money on. That you never thought of, like, oh, who's this guy? Didn't matter if he could sign for a lot of money. He was a leader in the clubhouse, and the guys loved him, and they responded to him.
I look at their lineup now, and I go, how the hell are they in first place? Doesn't matter. They're in first place. Yeah. They will, and that's why when we talk about the model going forward for the A's, you should look how the Astros do it. You're not going to overspend. That's just not smart. If somebody wants more, you know what? Altuve was willing to take what they were going to offer. Correa wasn't. So what do? You sign Altuve and you let Correa go and you end up replacing him. It's brilliant. It's the way you need to operate long-term, because too many of these teams get sucked into these deals. Look at the Devers deal. Couldn't wait to get rid of them. And they'd have the San Francisco Giants pick up $260 million. How long before the Giants people go, wow, we got DH. He's getting out of his prime. He's a little overweight. Like how long before that? And all of a sudden, the big numbers, because as we know, that's a pitcher's ballpark. If you think he's turning into Barry Bonds numbers, you're kidding yourself. He's not going to have Barry Bonds numbers. And we haven't seen someone hit 30 bombs at that yard since Barry Bonds.
It's been almost 20 years.
I heard him on MLB Network talking about it today, and I went, obviously it's East Coast guys talking about it. They don't realize how cold and the marine layer, and there's a reason why the ball doesn't fly out of San Francisco. Yeah. When they say it's a pitcher's ballpark, a lot has to do with the weather at night at that ballpark on a consistent basis. It's just not the pitching.
Makes me want.
Oh, well,
he's getting a little crazy with the Mike Gundy.
He's
going to play that I'm a man, I'm 40 next? No, I do not want you to play that. All right, coming up next, he's one of our all-time favorites. We're going to talk. You know what we're going to talk about?
The River Cats and him being here?
I'm not calling him Old Man River Cat.
That's what he told me. That's from his mouth.
I will not disrespect Old Man River Cat on this program. Next, right here on A's Cast Live.
When it comes to knocking it out of the park, nobody beats Folsom Lake Ford. Folsom Lake Ford is a 7-time Triple Crown Award winner, Ford Motor Company's highest honor, for being the best in customer satisfaction in sales, service, and finance. Step up to the plate for our biggest selection of new Ford models, including the legendary F-150, on sale now. Shop Folsom Lake Ford, your truck headquarters in the Folsom Auto Mall. FolsomLakeFord.com. That ball is up.
Looking to stay up to date on all things A's? Head over to athletics.com/A'sCast. That's athletics.com/A'sCast to listen to A's baseball in full 24/7 coverage of the A's, only on A's Cast. With a single click, you can stream great shows, live pre- and post-game coverage, and of course, all the great action of the A's this season. Head to athletics.com/A'sCast today. Become an A's insider today. Visit athletics.com/newsletter and sign up to receive the latest team highlights, up-to-date news, features, and more, all delivered free to your inbox. That's athletics.com/newsletter.
A's first baseman Tyler Soderstrom was on A's Cast Live with Chris Townsend and discussed his ability to play multiple positions if asked to.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I feel like with anything, you got to go out and get the reps and kind of learn the position. Every position has kind of a learning step. But, I definitely have the athleticism, I feel like, to play anywhere on the field. I feel like shortstop and the bigs would be a little bit of a stretch. But, maybe, I could.
You could play third?
Could
you play third base?
Yeah, I could play third, I play first, corner, outfield spot. I would feel really comfortable in any of those situations. Obviously, you'd have to put some time in and kind of, like I said, learn the position and what it entails. But, I feel like my athleticism really carry me anywhere I need to go.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/A'sCast. For just $25, fans can sit in the general admission outfield grass for all regular season home games. Tickets for that day's game will open up daily at 9 a.m. for purchase at athletics.com/lawn. Sign up to receive A's alerts to receive a text the first morning of each home series as a reminder. For more information, visit athletics.com/lawn. Calling all college and grad students. Grab your friends and head to the ballpark with this special offer. Save up to 50% off select regular season games throughout the 2025 season. Get your discounted tickets at athletics.com/student.
Streaming from West Sacramento, A's Cast Live continues with Chris Townsend.
You know, it's always been funny that Steve Sparks and Jeff Blum are two of our oldest, ever since we started A's Cast Live, two of our oldest guests and friends of the program. And it's like funny because it's the Astros. You would think like we wouldn't be friends with anybody from the Astros, but you guys have been like so gracious. Obviously a former athletic. You love playing in Oakland.
Well, we don't play for the team.
No.
No, we're broadcasters. So we're supposed to be a little bit neutral. I mean, we start to know these guys and start to become friends with the family. So we root for guys. But at the same time, I mean, we're all sharing information and trying to get the same thing done as far as growing the game of baseball. So we love that part. And we like Ken Korak and Vince Cotroneo and Johnny Dasco and all these guys have become real friends. And
you've listened to our broadcast for years.
Forever. Yeah, I really have.
You've busted my chops when I used to do stuff with Fosse, and no, there's no doubt about it.
Kaiser Permanente.
It's so true. It's so true. And the life lessons. I've gotten my heart test. I remember I got that, what you told us to do. I did that. Family vacations. I was like, I'll never forget one of the greatest things you ever said. The reason why I like playoff baseball, because now they're not playing for money. They're playing to win.
Oh, my goodness.
I was like, what? That stuck with me. I've
Really?
always been like, it's so true. It got brought up today on MLB Network. It was like with the Devers thing. It's like, usually guys are doing everything they can to get paid. But once you get paid, it's now about, I want to win.
Mm-hmm.
Well, unfortunately, that wasn't the case in Boston. But that's one thing that you've always said, that you love playoff baseball. It's different because guys they're not playing for that next contract. We're now playing to win baseball games.
Yeah, it becomes very selfless.
Which is a different way to play baseball.
You notice it right away. I mean, every year I get reminded of that, game one. I mean, everybody's selfless, hitting through the right side of the infield with the runner on second. Everything is played by the book. So I love that. And just the strategy of the last 3 or 4 innings of every game in the playoffs is under the microscope. And I love that part, and trying to be as prepared as possible and get to know these managers and their tendencies. It's a lot of fun.
As a former player and a broadcaster, you understand the business of baseball. It got brought up last night after we were doing TV, and I go upstairs and I was taking the phone calls, and we were talking about, are the Astros really the model of baseball? Because it's not the Dodgers. Dodgers TV money is so big. Most teams, we have teams that don't even have a television contract anymore. So that can't be the model. The way the Astros go about their business, Jim Crane said it. It was right after you guys won the World Series. The confetti was coming down. He said, hey, we got a 5-year plan to replace anybody here. And they do that. So there's a price on every player. If the player wants more, they'll shake your hand, say thanks for everything, and we'll replace you with somebody else. It's just always developing, bringing new guys in or bringing in veteran guys that fit. It's you don't overpay. There's something about the Astros, what they have done. You've watched it. You've lived it. Would you say that how the Astros have done it over recent years really should be the model for a lot of teams, especially mid-market teams?
I do. I believe that. And I believe you have to be very disciplined. And I think you also have to be very good at recognizing talent and being good acquirers of talent, seeing things that other teams don't see in certain guys. And I think in the pitching realm that the Astros do that better than anybody, to be honest. I think they see guys like Jason Alexander and recognize what he can do a little bit better to become a more complete pitcher. And they've done that. There's been an example of a lot of pitchers like that. We can go through Charlie Morton, Justin Verlander, Garrett Cole, Colin McHugh. We can go on and on about the number of pitchers that then they've been able to elevate. So you recognize what you're really good at. I don't think you put a whole lot of money as far as years and long contracts into something that you can develop. You put most of your money into the position players, which are harder to acquire and to develop for the Astros anyway. And I think they recognize that. So that's where they're going to allocate most of their money.
How's the turnover rate been in the front office? Has there been a huge turnover rate?
Yes.
Okay, so that's because I always wonder about that, because it's like your secret's getting out into the market, right? Because people are, when you win,
that's a great question.
When they win, right, people come to get you get your guys. It's one thing the Dodgers have battled with for years.
I remember asking Jeff Luhnow in the locker room during a celebration. And I remember we were kind of changing clothes to go in there and have a champagne celebration. And I remember asking him, I said, are you worried about, some of the guys that work for you going to other organizations or players going to other organizations? And he said that he felt like even the information they had, there was so much turnover in that a lot of the things that was going to be obsolete by the next half season. He felt like half of the things that they were doing weren't even going to be part of the game. They felt like they were churning and trying to stay ahead of the curve constantly. And that's what they've done. And you start talking about what the Astros have done for 10 years now.
Yeah.
There's been little waves of things. One thing was to develop guys and get the farm system much better. But the next one, remember the stroke of luck they got when they started signing Latin American pitchers?
Ton of them.
That were 19 to 22 years old. Everybody else signs them at 16 years old. But they were taking a shot at guys that were older, 3 to 5 years older. And I'll be darned if it wasn't Framber Valdez, who's pitching today. He was 21 years old. And I'll name 5 more: Ronel Blanco, Luis Garcia, Brian Abreu, Jose Urquidy, Christian Javier. 6 guys that have been unbelievable that they didn't sign until 3 years after guys were eligible to sign from anybody else. They signed them from 19 to 22 years old. And they've got those guys in their prime, and they got them for cheap.
Yeah, they like carpet bombed. They like signed a bunch of guys for like $25,000.
Yeah.
Where other teams like us have gone in and given guys like $6 million, $4 million, $3. They went out and gave a bunch of guys like $20,000, $25,000, $30,000. And some of those guys are in that group you talked about.
Here's the second part about that. There was a scout in the media dining room at Dyken Park one day, and he said, hey, I was scouting an A-ball team with the Astros organization a few years ago, and I remember watching these guys, and they were walking 3, 4, 5 guys in the first 3 innings, and they were out by 1 out in the 4th inning, and they'd hit their pitch limit, and they were out, and they're giving high fives in the dugout. And the whole game, they were throwing 2-0 breaking balls, 3-0 breaking balls. And it's just, it was blowing my mind. And I couldn't believe it. And I'll be darned if it wasn't Framber Valdez, it wasn't Jose Urquidy. They were teaching these guys how to pitch in the big leagues down in A-ball. And they were still going to push them up through the organization, even if their stats didn't look that good. But if they were doing things that they felt like they were going to get outs in the big leagues, they were going to continue to elevate those guys.
Tony Kemp said that yesterday on our TV pregame show. He said, coming up through the system with the Houston Astros, at every level, everybody thinks about the big leagues.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not, I need to get from A-ball to AA. You're thinking in A-ball,
what I need to do at this level
to get to the big leagues.
That's going to translate into the big leagues. Yeah. And that's a good example. Throwing a 2-0 break ball. Like nobody does that in A-ball. Not when I was coming up. Everybody was throwing a heater on 2-0 because you didn't want to walk guys. Because you knew if you had a lot of walks at those levels, you weren't going to get pushed up through the system. But the Astros were pushing these guys because they believed in them.
All right, you played for the River Cats, and there's a famous Sacramento Bee article that we cannot find. So if anybody out there has this article and find that the title of the piece was Old Man River Cat.
Yeah. So here's the kicker to this story. It's kind of funny. So everybody on my team thought I turned 40 years old that summer that I was playing for the River Cats. I was older than our manager, Tony DeFrancesco.
Really? Tony D, the great Tony D.
So I was playing for that team. I turned 40, and the guys on my team that July threw me a surprise party up in one of these suites right behind us here. And it was really nice. And guys like John Baker, they were spending some of their Nike money.
Baker,
gave me a driver. They gave me these nice presents. And my wife is in the corner looking at me like I was the biggest jerk in the world because I was actually 41. I was lying about my age my whole career. The scout who signed me put me down for a year younger just to give me a better chance because I was a 5th-year senior coming out. So I had this surprise party here with these minor leaguers spending their dadgum endorsement money and giving me these nice presents that I felt like crap. But I turned 41 that year. I was playing for the River Cats. But I had great memories of it.
Did you take all the gifts?
Yeah, I sure did.
You felt so bad. You took all the gifts. Huh?
I just didn't. I mean, I didn't know what to do, but I was touched.
You were throwing a knuckleball at the time, so it really didn't matter how old you were, right?
You're right. Yeah, but that's what happened.
So we talk about all these players who have lied about their,
You know,
their ages all these
in my
years.
defense, man, I took these guys out to lunch. I mean, I spent a lot of money on these guys
Okay.
to take care of them.
But the fact that all these years we've talked about the players from Latin America lying about their age,
Right.
You
yeah,
are,
we had a dude on our team, Jairo Garcia, that turned into Santiago Casilla. He was 3 years difference.
yes, a giant anime.
Yeah, he was great, man. He won 3 world championships.
I guess it'd be a line 1 year is not that big of a deal.
It didn't matter once I became a knuckleballer.
Yeah.
But, I mean, God bless the guy who signed me. He was just trying to give me a better chance.
You know how bad we could use you right now? Bring you back? A guy that can eat innings?
A guy
how do we get the knuckleballer back in the game?
I don't know. There's so much variance in a baseball. Bob Melvin, this was about 6 years ago. He tossed me a ball in the dugout one day, and he goes, "You think you could throw a knuckleball with this?" Remember 2019 balls were flying out everywhere?
Oh, yeah.
And I grabbed this thing, and it was like this table. And I couldn't dig my fingernails into it. I mean, it was like a cue ball. And I said, there's no way I could not throw a knuckleball with this. It's slick and hard. Couldn't dig my fingernails into it. And I said, I would be done in a season with the baseball like that. There's so much variance in the ball from year to year. Whatever they do.
Now this year they're talking about the seams are higher and there's more drag, and that's why we're saying the home run percentage has gone down.
Yeah.
Not here, but
it can change in the drop of a hat, though, can it? It can change very quickly. The other thing that can change,
control the ball now. They don't like to tell us what's going on, but they control the ball. Baseball controls the ball.
Hey, how you guys liking Mark Kotsay? I'm a huge fan.
We have the Mark Kotsay show every week right here, brought to you by Folsom Lake Ford.
Do you know what he did in yesterday's game? Do you notice what he did with the relief pitchers, who he brought into this game? So the Astros are extremely right-hand heavy. They have, with Yordan Alvarez out, they have no lefties other than Victor Caratini, who's a switch-hitting catcher. But who did Kotsay use in a blowout game? Every one of his lefties he could, because he knew he wouldn't need him tonight. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah.
He's so ahead of the game.
Mark Kotsay is – you need somebody who can lead, especially in times like this.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you got a lot of young guys and there's going to be some rough nights, you got to have somebody who can still get everybody to be pulling on the same rope during tough times. And he's been able to do that. And I think that's why when we talked to John Fisher, the owner, about it, he was like, this guy's one of the great leaders I've ever been around. That's why I gave him the extension. So Mark Kotsay has an extension into Vegas.
Okay, good.
So he is going to be here. He's going to be here through these tough times.
He's the type of manager, and Phil Garner was like this for me. He was the type of manager, even when the team wasn't playing well, I felt like going to the ballpark and getting better because I wanted to play well for him. I felt like he was in my corner, and I think Mark probably makes a lot of these guys feel like he's in their corner, but it makes you work harder for a manager like that because you want to do well for him. And it's almost like a father-son relationship, but he makes it feel very personal. And I think he connects with guys very well.
Well, and it's not easy to keep the group together when you're not winning.
Right.
Especially when you're a lot of blowout games.
Yep. You're exactly right. I mean, in managers like that, they'll come along very often, especially guys who played as long as he did.
Yeah, 17 years.
Who made as much money as he did when he played. There's not many of those guys that come out and manage and are willing to work as hard as he does when he probably doesn't need to.
Other than this, how's everything going in life?
Very good. Yeah, my kids are all out. They're 31, 29, and 26.
You got a grandkid?
Got a grandkid, yeah. So my wife meets me on the road probably once or twice a month, and it's good. I mean, that makes
Life's
things really
good.
nice. Yeah. Yeah, the Twilight's good. I spent 10 years in the minors, turned 31 my rookie year. Never would have imagined I would have gotten 9 years in and still 19 years now broadcasting. It's been a great life, man. I love baseball for this.
You would have never thought you would have been in the big leagues this long when you were coming out as a fifth-year senior.
Never. No. I've never told you this. The way I started pitching, my junior year, I walked on at this place called Sam Houston State. Never heard of the school, and I thought it was going to be a breeze. And there was 100 guys walking on. And I ran with the infield. I was an infielder in junior college. I ran with the infielders, and the guy with the stopwatch when we were running the 60-yard dashes said 7 something. I didn't hear the end of it, but I knew it was over 7, and I was really worried that I might get flushed out of there for running a 60 over 7 with the infielders. So by the time I slowed down and walked back to that guy, I formulated something in my mind And I told the guy, hey, man, why are the pitchers running 60-yard dashes? He said, hey, man, you're in the wrong place. You're supposed to be over there. And I started pitching, and it changed my life. Changed my life for the rest of my life.
You've been fooling people.
I've been lying.
You've been lying about your age. You've been lying about
yeah.
your position.
I might be lying about that story.
Hey, by the way, if you ever play golf with this guy, make sure you know.
You're not wrong.
Make sure how many strokes.
Yeah.
Old man River Cat.
Yeah. Good to see you, buddy.
It's always great to have you on.
Thanks, man.
We appreciate it.
You got it.
All right, what do we got going? We got Dallas Braden. We got the game of the berm. They're out on the berm tonight.
I know. Are you going to take your glove out there, Dallas? Very good.
So Dallas Braden. Welcome, Dallas. All right, Sparksy. We appreciate it. Good stuff as always. Have a good call tonight. Former River Cat, and one of the all-time best guests here, A's Cast Live history, the great Steve Sparks, former Athletic. Great golfer. There's nothing this man can't do. We'll talk to you. Hello, Dallas Braden. That's a tough guy you got it. That's salt of the earth right there. You're coming on after.
That's why I say quality human being. Quality human being. One of the first people that you have to go in and say hello to when you get into town.
So we figured out we got to put a broadcast out on the berm to get you to come on A's Cast Live for the first time.
You're just that much closer to my scooter parking space.
Yeah.
That's how that works.
But we're like, how do we get him on? Let's have a broadcast out there. Then he's forced to come on. Where have you been?
I've been hanging out. I've been putting IKEA furniture together out in West Sac. I've been doing a lot.
How's the family doing?
They're great. They're great. Yeah, we were out at the pool this morning. We've been out at the pool every day since they've been here when the pool opens, because that's just how that goes.
Yeah.
You know how that goes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're getting it in. Backstroking, freestyling. We're doing it all.
Yeah, you got to remember, it's summertime. It's the Bradens have come to West Sacramento.
They are here. They are here.
And these are the times, too, you got to cherish. These are, as little kids, they're going to – hopefully they remember as much as possible, but you'll have the pictures and everything. But these are the moments that they'll be like, Dad worked in Sacramento, and the story before we go to Vegas, this will be a great story.
Well, they're already excited. And what was really cool was getting up this morning, and we're getting ready to go to the pool. And they were asking, they said, Dad, so we're going to the ball game tonight, right? Because you're going to be out on the grass.
Yeah.
Are we going to be able to sit with you? And I was like, well, you can't call the game with me, but yeah, I think we could probably pull up a patch for you out there. So just listening to the games, right? Listening to the broadcast, and that gets them go. They're paying attention. So for them to even come to me totally unprompted, unsolicited, right? Their mom didn't say anything. They were just like, hey, what's up? Ball game? We're going to be on the grass tonight. What's going on? And I'm like, yes. Yes, it warmed my heart to think about that.
And it's always awesome when you watch games and you see the kids rolling down the hill. And it's one thing that I've loved about being here at these games. It just brings a lot of the families, and it's just like, it's like old school.
Well, it's what it does is it provides, I think, an opportunity, and we all understand what sort of environment we're in and what type of situation we're in. So I think just the theme of the season, I think the theme of these next few years has always been, let's maximize the opportunities, right? And if you're talking about having big league baseball dropped in your lap, in your backyard, on your front doorstep, however you want to view it, and you have an opportunity to come out and, like I said, throw down a blanket and enjoy the sunset at a ballpark where the sights and sounds are as familiar as they've ever been, and you're with friends and family in an environment where it's just that sort of moment and that sort of environment is just not presented to you daily, right? You just don't have those opportunities everywhere. So I think it's a great job maximizing what we have, and I think fans are really enjoying it.
Yeah, most teams will do this every single year. Well, they'll take the TV broadcasters and put you in a different area.
Yeah.
So in a game like this where you guys are going to be out there on the berm, it's the entertainment business. And night after night, you're doing the same thing over and over. How is this for you where you got something new tonight to talk about and have fun with?
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, it does. It changes the preparation, right, a little bit. And Towny, I think you know how I try to approach each game and the way that we prepare and the job that we try to do, the job that you and Cody do when you bring on the guests. I mean, with the effort that goes into it, I mean, you, Saxy, everybody understands what kind of work you want to bring to the table night in and night out. This is an opportunity, I don't want to say to take a step back, but maybe a lateral step where you are sort of pointing out some of the things that are going on at the ballpark, some of the lighthearted stuff that happens at a ball game, and you're not just hammering the X's and O's for 9 straight innings, which can be fun. It can be a little bit of a relief at times.
I hear food's coming like in the 4th inning.
Stop it.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
I did not. You got a tip on that, food?
I got a tip on that.
What I've been trying to do is anybody that is willing, if you can sneak in a popsicle or popsicles, and I'm not talking about melted in the wrapper. No, I need solid ice. If you can do that, it's 1 for 1. Bring me a popsicle, I'll get you a baseball. And we'll keep that rolling all night long. But the popsicle better have some integrity to it. I'm not talking about drinking popsicles. You hear me? I want to be able to eat it.
So you're saying you got to have a cooler with blue ice, keep it frozen. If you show up with a pot of frozen with ice, flavored ice,
yes,
and it's ice,
yes,
you will provide a Dallas Braden signed baseball.
Well, it sounds like I'm signing it now. I was going just baseball, but Towny has now signed me up to sign the ball. So
I up the ante.
Yeah. So you know what? 1 signed baseball, and after that, it will be just a baseball.
I like it.
Yeah.
We're going to the store, Cody, because I don't have a signed Dallas Braden baseball. We're gonna go to the grocery store.
Save your money, Towny. I know a guy. We'll be able to. I know a guy. We take care of that.
And their perspective of doing the game from right center.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Nick Kurtz's blast the other night would go over you guys.
Yeah. Well, you think I didn't bring my glove? Yeah, book that.
Are you bringing the glove?
Yeah, I'm not trying to wear one on the melon. You kidding me? I'm going to be watching the game. The next thing you want me to. If I have to, I will bail. I will throw the chair. I will bail. I will lay out and make a play.
Will this count as because you've never been able to?
Well. See, I knew
haul one in.
I knew where this was going.
You just
wow.
And an untalented human being named Johnny Dasco did get one in Chicago.
If that's what you want to call it, I'm not sure if you're aware of what happened 2 nights ago. Johnny Dasco, unbeknownst to him, almost wore a foul ball right in the nose. Believe it or not, it bounced right in front of him.
That wouldn't be hard.
No, it's not. A lot of area to cover. It shot right up and hit the top of his booth and then bounced. And it may have grazed a nostril on the way down, but he didn't even know it. He was scared to death. And I looked over at him and I just shook my head. And true story, I called him last night and he answered the phone and I said, I just want you to know that when you brush your teeth tonight, I know that you know that I know that you know that I know I saw you. You understand that? And he said, you did. And I just hung up because we both know.
You just went dodgeball on us.
We both know.
Yeah.
And now he knows that I know.
You know that I know. So a catch out in right center, which, by the way, would be way more impressive than in the booth.
So, I mean, let's put it to the fans. Can we get a fan vote here? Is it more impressive if I catch a home run ball in right center, or is it more impressive if the radio guy catches a foul in the booth? What's more impressive? The homer?
Yes, no question.
Radio. What? Get these kids out. They're wearing Johnny Dasco jerseys. I can't ask them that. That's unfair. They're wrong.
Will you fly and push aside Jenny Cavnar tonight for a ball?
Towny, I would have no problem giving my grandmother a forearm shiver if she was in between me and the baseball.
So you're ready for anything to happen. Like you will go right over her.
Towny, I stay ready so I don't have to get ready.
I like that. I apprient that.
It is what it is. It's a ball player's mentality.
It's a gamer. You're a gamer.
There's outs out there, Towny. You got to tackle them.
27 outs. You got to get them.
Got to get them somehow.
Now, it's going to be a fun night. By the way, new mound. We've talked about. We had Scott Emerson here.
Mm-hmm.
They had the week. The River Cats were gone.
Yeah.
For a week, so they had a chance to change the mound, soften the mound.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me about what do you think changing the mound is going to do?
Well, I tell you what, before we get to that, I do want to take a moment just to applaud the grounds crew, because I think if you understand what sort of task has been laid in front of this group, it is daunting to say the least. And what they have done is they have answered the bell each and every day. I come out here early. I'm here early at times, really early, 11, 12 o'clock in the afternoon, and they are grinding. They are busting their butts to keep this field in as best condition, as best shape as they possibly can. I am privy to all of the technology that has been implemented to allow these folks to be able to do their job at the highest level. And I think when you consider that a full season's worth of games is going to be played on this diamond before the All-Star break, the condition that it's in, they have done a fantastic job. And the fact that they are listening to every bit of feedback that they can to continue to make it better, I think speaks volumes for how much they care, for how invested they are in this. And it's not just for the A's or for the River Cats. It's for the fan experience because you want to see quality baseball played wherever you go, and they're a big part of that. So for them to take the feedback and listen to what the pitchers have talked about, home and away, again, I think it just shows you how much they're willing to do to make this the best thing that it can possibly be. And from a pitcher's perspective, when you stick your foot in the ground, whether it's me driving off the backside or me creating a firm post to be able to throw against my front side, I want to have the confidence that the mound has the integrity to withstand the toll of even just one guy, but you got two pitchers on each side, right? And that's going to last 9+ innings or so. And you want to be able to just be confident that where you're working, the space you're working in is going to be something that can stand the test of time. And so from the mound to the infield dirt, to the grass, to the warning track, the way it's maintained, they've paid a lot of attention to how to keep this field in as best possible shape as they can.
Yeah, I saw highlights the other day of Atlanta, and Atlanta's field's beat up. And I'm like going, well, we don't see that here. It's amazing. Like some of these fields, Houston's outfield, the last time the A's were there, they had brown spots. And I'm like, our field for what it's to be as green as it is and look like it's a fairway.
Well,
it's pretty impressive.
They got a roof over it in Houston, right?
Yeah.
And so to be in that condition, as you said, I think kind of shows you just, it's not to take anything away from that group out in Houston, because Izzy, the head grounds crew member out there, he does a fantastic job. But I think it just, again, speaks to what kind of effort is put in here day in and day out with our crew.
Quickly, that strategy we saw the other night, give me 5 or 6, bring in now a guy who's a starter who can get me 3 more innings maybe and get me to Mason Miller, 3 pitchers instead of 4, 5, 6. Did you like the strategy?
Well, you can appreciate what is being chased right now, and that's just trying to find a way to get outs, to get consistent outs. And I think when you start to think about getting them in chunks, this approach is something that allows you to maybe maximize some guys down out of the bullpen. And it also gives the starters an opportunity to maybe bypass some of the hurdles that they've had to clear or have had struggles clearing early in the game. And it lets them settle in without having to face those 1, 2, 3s.
Awesome. Always great to have you here on A's Cast Live. I don't know what we'll have to do to get you out here again, but we will make something special happen.
If you can get a parking space right around here,
I'll work on it. I know some people. Coming up next, Johnny D and Ken Korak getting ready for A's baseball. Then we'll be back. I'll be back with Tony Kemp. We'll talk to you out on the berm for a little A's Cast on NBC Sports California. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and we'll see everybody tomorrow at 5 o'clock.
This is awesome. Every player's dream to get a bobblehead.
Fastball on fire. Probably one of the coolest things you can put on the bobblehead.
An exploding ball. He does throw 104, so that makes sense.
A little bit of love for the baby facial hair on the chin.
Oh, thought that was dirt on his chin, but it looks like they intentionally put hair there.
This has been a presentation of The Athletics.